This spiral vase started life as a basic cylinder. In this video I'll show you exactly how I designed it in Fusion 360. To get started, I'll create a cylinder as it's already fairly close to the shape we're trying to achieve. For this vase, I'm setting the diameter to 80mm and the height to 170mm, keeping it just below the Bamboo Lab A1 Mini's maximum print height. And for the form settings, I'm using 8 diameter faces, 8 height faces and 4 symmetry faces. The exact values aren't particularly important, but increasing them gives you more geometry to work with later on. For now, this is a good balance between flexibility and keeping the model manageable. Once confirmed, you'll have a stripy cylinder. And now that we've got our starting geometry, we can begin shaping it into something that actually resembles a vase. To start, double click one of the vertical edges to select the entire loop. And since the symmetry is enabled, you'll see the corresponding edges around the model highlight as well. I'm then holding shift and clicking to deselect the very bottom edge. Now with the bottom line unselected, we can right click and press edit form to begin introducing some shape into the cylinder. The first thing I want to do is create a pattern around the outside that we can later twist into a spiral. To do that, I'm selecting every other vertical edge around the cylinder and pushing them inwards by about 5mm. Then I'll select the edges between those and pull them outwards by 5mm also. The exact values aren't particularly important here, so feel free to experiment. What matters is creating some variation around the outside of the cylinder rather than leaving it perfectly round. And at the moment, looking at the cylinder from above, you can already see a subtle star shape beginning to form, and I quite like the look of this. So I'm going to be exaggerating it slightly by pushing the inner edges in a little further using the same method. At this stage, we're not trying to create the final vase shape, we're simply creating a foundation that will give us something interesting to work with once we begin twisting the geometry. And that brings us nicely into the next stage, creating the spiral effect. To go about creating the spiral effect, we're going to begin twisting sections of the vase individually. To do this, select all of the faces from top to bottom, leaving out the very bottom row. Just like before, we're trying to keep the base of the vase as flat as possible. Once selected, right click and activate edit form once again. You may find you need to rotate your view slightly to get a better angle. We're going to use the rotation handle to twist the selected geometry around the centre of the vase. And for the first edit, I'm applying a rotation of 40 degrees. With that being said, don't get too carried away here. Large twists can cause faces to cross over one another, which can prevent the form from being created successfully later on. I've found it's much better to make several smaller controlled twists than one large aggressive edit. Once the first twist is complete, repeat the same process further up the vase, this time excluding the section we just rotated. By continuing to work upwards in stages, we can gradually build up the spiral while maintaining control over the overall shape. And just like that, we've transformed a fairly basic cylinder into something much more interesting. The next step is to stop focusing on the spiral itself and begin shaping the overall profile of the vase. To do this, we're going to select the horizontal edge loops rather than the vertical edges that we've been working with so far. The easiest way of going about doing this is to double click one of the horizontal edges to select the entire loop, although you can also use the selection field if you prefer. Just make sure you're only selecting the edges and no faces. With the loop selected, right click and activate edit form. By dragging the center scale handle, it's just a little dot, we can increase or decrease the overall diameter of the highlighted section of the model. This is where the design process becomes much more subjective, so don't worry too much about matching my exact dimensions. Personally, I tend to prefer vases with a wider base, a narrower neck, and an opening that's slightly wider than the section directly below it. Using those principles, I'll work my way up the vase, scaling individual loops until I'm happy with the overall silhouette. Feel free to take your time here. Small adjustments can make a surprisingly large difference to the final design. One of the things I enjoy most about this workflow is how quickly you can experiment with different shapes. Even subtle changes can completely alter the look and feel of the finished vase. Now that we're happy with the overall shape of the vase, we can finish the form and move back into Fusion 360's standard modelling tools that you're probably more familiar with. The first thing that we need to do is to convert this surface body into a solid body so that we can begin working with it. And to do that, I'm going to be using the boundary fill command. First, create an offset plane at the very top of the vase. Then, if your origin planes aren't currently visible, click the eye icon next to the origin folder to make them visible. And with both planes visible, launch the boundary fill command and select the vase body along with the top and bottom planes. Everything should highlight in green if done correctly. From here, ensure select cell is enabled and then click the enclosed cell in the center of the model. Once complete, we can hide the construction geometry and check that everything has worked correctly. And to do that, we're going to launch the section analysis tool and apply it to either a plane or a flat face. You can then drag the arrow through the model to inspect the internal geometry, and if everything has worked as expected, the vase should now appear completely solid from top to bottom. And while that is exactly what we wanted, a solid vase isn't exactly useful, so the next step would be hollowing it out. Normally, a quick shell command would do the trick, but unfortunately, complex shapes like this don't always play nicely with the shell command, and I've found that it often struggles to work correctly. Nonetheless, feel free to give it a try yourself, but I'd recommend saving first and being prepared for Fusion to potentially crash on you. So rather than relying on the shell command, we're going to create the internal cavity manually using a revolve cut. To get this started, create a sketch on the center origin plane that runs directly through the middle of the vase. Before drawing anything on this sketch, I'm also going to activate the section analysis tool once again and using it on the same plane the sketch is on. This slices the vase in half and gives us a much clearer view of the profile we're working with. Back inside the sketch, press P to activate the project tool and project the bottom edge of the vase into the sketch. From here I'm defining the thickness of the base using the offset tool. And for this vase I'm using 4mm, although I found that 6mm tends to produce a slightly more substantial finished print. Next, draw a vertical line directly through the centre of the vase. I'll then lock this line in place with a fixing constraint and convert it into a construction centre line using the sketch palette on the right hand side of the screen. With that done, I'll add another line to define the upper limit of the profile we're about to create. At this point I would like to fully constrain the sketch wherever possible. It takes a little longer now, but it prevents accidental changes occurring later on when we're making finer adjustments. So, to define the internal wall of the vase, I'm going to use a fit point spline. Create a spline that follows the general shape of the outer wall all the way to the top. I find it helpful to add spline points at each major change in direction, because having more control points gives us more opportunities to fine tune the wall thickness later on, and once the spline is complete, finish the sketch and launch the revolve command. If everything has been drawn correctly, Fusion should automatically detect both the profile and the center line needed to create the cut, and just like that, we should have created the internal cavity of the vase, or at least most of it. As you can see, the revolve hasn't quite worked perfectly. There's a few areas where the internal profile is intersecting the outer wall, leaving holes in the model. But don't worry if this happens to you as well. I'd actually be surprised if you managed to get the spline perfect on the first attempt. And this is one of the reasons I prefer using the spline. It's very easy to go back and make adjustments exactly where they're needed. So to fix the problem, simply edit the sketch and begin moving the spline points inwards where the holes are appearing. There isn't really a magical formula for this part of the process. It's mostly a process of making small adjustments, checking the results, and repeating until the model is completely sealed. I've found that a good way to make the process a bit quicker, I like to make the sketch visible in the model browser and adjust the spline points directly from the model rather than opening up the sketch every time. What this does is it allows the vase to update in real time as the changes are made. Eventually, after a lot of tinkering, we'll reach a point where the revolve creates a completely sealed cavity with no intersections. And while that solved one problem, there's still one more thing I'd like to check before calling the vase finished: the wall thickness. Once all the gaps have disappeared, we can use the section analysis tool again to inspect the wall thickness throughout the vase. As I move through the model, I'll check for areas that are noticeably thinner or thicker than the rest. If I find any inconsistencies, I'll simply return back to the original spline and make further adjustments until I'm happy with the overall thickness, aiming for a consistent thickness on the thinnest part of the wall all the way down. Once the wall thickness looks consistent throughout the model, we're finally ready to move on to the finishing touches. And at this point the vase is technically finished, but I like to spend a few extra moments refining the details. One area that tends to stand out is the top edge. Right now, it comes to a fairly abrupt stop, which can make the model feel a little unfinished. So to soften this transition, I'm going to be using another revolve cut to remove the sharp edge and create a smoother profile around the opening. The process is very similar to what we did earlier. I'll create a new sketch on the center plane and draw a simple triangular profile that represents the material I want to move. Rather than estimating, I like to define the height and angle using dimensions. This allows me to make controlled adjustments later on and makes it much easier to dial in the final appearance. Once I'm happy with the profile, I'll use the revolve command to cut it around the center of the axis. It's a relatively small change, but details like this can make a surprising difference to how professional the finished model looks. And at this point, the modelling work is complete and we finally have a finished vase. If you'd like access to some of my finished vase designs, including several ready to print STL files, you can find them over on my Patreon and Etsy, both linked below. Now let's get this thing exported and ready for printing. To do that, head to File, Export, and save the model file as an STL file. Once exported, open the STL file in your slicer of choice. I will be using Bamboo Studio. And after importing the model, you'll notice an error will likely appear in the bottom right corner. This doesn't always happen, but I have found that complex spiraling geometry like this often creates small issues that need to be repaired before slicing. Fortunately, the fix is quite simple. Just right click the model and select Fix Model. Once the repair has finished, I'm recommending exporting this repaired version as a new STL file, overwriting the recently made STL. This way, you won't need to repeat the repair process every time you reopen the model in the future. From here, it's simply a case of applying your preferred print settings, slicing the model, and sending it to your printer. And that's how I design spiral vases using Fusion 360's form tools. If you found this tutorial useful, consider subscribing. It's free and it validates my questionable life choices.